What you don't know about USA tax system. Income taxes in the United States can be either progressive or regressive. In addition, Social Security and property taxes are regressive. Both excise taxes and user fees might be considered to have a little regressive effect. A proportionate system is established when the effect of these two factors is that taxpayers pay approximately the same percentage of their incomes in taxes. The principle of vertical equity holds that individuals in different income brackets ought to be subjected to varying levels of taxation. Taxes are something that working Americans just cannot avoid, regardless of how favorable or unfavorable the situation may be. Nevertheless, what is the extent of your knowledge regarding financial matters? The following is a rundown of information that ought to be enlightening to you. Number 12. The tax system is complex, and that's by design. The tax code has two purposes: to provide the government with the money it needs to operate, and to create incentives for taxpayers to do certain things lawmakers would like them to do, such as save for retirement, pursue an education, give to charity, or even buy an electric car. Whether taxes change behavior, however, is open to debate. Take the mortgage interest deduction, which was meant to encourage people to buy a home by lowering their annual income taxes. Economists widely argue that all the policy did was inflate home prices. At the same time, a 2014 study by the Center for Retirement Research found that the higher retirement plan contribution limits that kick in at age 50 lead to only slightly higher savings rates. Number 11. You might be worrying about taxes more than you need to, since you have less control over your tax bill than you would imagine. Consider the income tax. You might make money from a job, a side gig, or investments, but the taxes that you owe on each type of income are predetermined by a set of inflexible regulations. Everyone is worried that they will overlook a golden opportunity that will lower their taxes. According to Tim Steffen, who is the director of tax planning at the company Baird, which provides financial services, they don't exist for most people. If you are a homeowner in the middle class who does not have access to armies of lawyers, you are responsible for a variety of taxes, including sales, income, property, sin, and others. When it comes to your property tax payment, you have the greatest wiggle room. The remaining aspects are mostly beyond your ability to influence. Number 10. There are more than 74,000 individual pages that make up the tax law. There's a rationale behind why so many people choose to have their taxes prepared by specialists. Because the actual tax code is so lengthy, it would take even an extremely proficient reader more than 1,200 hours to read it all. But there were times when there was less detail. When it was first enacted in 1913, the tax code consisted of only about 400 pages. Number 9. The Internal Revenue Code has undergone more than 4,500 revisions since the year 2001. The fact that its regulations are continuously revised is a significant contributor to the tax code's massive size and complexity. As an illustration, throughout the past 15 years, there have been more than 4,500 different modifications implemented. On the other hand, some of these adjustments work out better for taxpayers than others, such as when new credits are added. Number 8. Taxpayers who do not file their returns miss out on millions of dollars in revenue. Many employees who are not required to pay taxes choose not to submit their forms because they are unaware that there are a variety of tax credits that can result in a refund. One example is the Earned Income Tax Credit, which allows people who don't owe taxes to receive a refund of up to $6,318. Despite this, an estimated 20% of people who are qualified to pay taxes do not take advantage of this credit. If you believe that the Internal Revenue Service owes you money from a prior tax year, it is in your best interest to take action as soon as possible. You can claim a refund from an unfiled tax return for up to 3 years after the deadline for filing that return. The official surrender of taxpayers' claims for refunds totaling $950 million for the tax year 2012 took place in April 2016. And that's a significant amount of money to throw away. Number 7. For Americans to be able to pay their annual tax obligations, they need to work 114 days out of the year. And that's a statistic that's a little bit disheartening to think about. It also implies that workers may be missing out on a variety of important deductions that could result in a lower overall tax burden for the workforce as a whole. Number 6. It's believed that 44% of Americans don't pay any income tax to the federal government. And it's not because so many people try to get by without paying their fair share of taxes. Instead, the IRS provides several tax incentives to individuals with lesser incomes. As a consequence, many of these individuals can eliminate their tax payments. Number 5. More than 1/5 of tax returns filed on paper contains some sort of mistake. According to the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, the error rate for electronically submitted returns is less than 1%, whereas the error rate for paper filers is 21 times more likely to occur. If you want to reduce the likelihood of having your tax return scrutinized or rejected, it is best to file electronically so that you can avoid making any mistakes. If you have an annual income of less than $64,000, you are eligible to submit your return electronically at no cost. Number 4. Less than 1% of tax returns are subjected to audit. Although many taxpayers are always worried about being audited, the great majority of tax returns are never checked for accuracy. Around 75% of audits are conducted through the mail, which means that the vast majority of taxpayers never have to worry about the terrifying in-person IRS inspections that are portrayed on television. Although tax filers with higher incomes are more likely to be audited than those with middle incomes, tax filers with no income also have an elevated risk of being audited. Number 3. When submitting their forms, around 17% of workers commit at least one tax code violation. It is not unexpected to hear that up to 1/5 of taxpayers do not comply with the laws because the tax code is so complicated and lengthy. Having said that, the IRS views the vast majority of these alleged infractions as having been the result of honest mistakes. Just 0.0022% of those who are unable to adhere to the regulations are found guilty of committing tax-related offenses. Number 2. Just 30% of households choose to itemize their deductions. The purpose of deductions is to assist workers in lowering the amount of income that is subject to taxation, and certain deductions can be highly lucrative. For instance, if you are a single taxpayer and your mortgage loan does not exceed $500,000, or if you are a married couple filing jointly and your loan does not exceed $1 million, you can deduct the whole amount of the interest you pay on your mortgage from your taxable income. Deductions are also available for amounts that exceed 10% of your gross income after adjustments have been made for things like property taxes, charitable contributions, and medical expenditures. Despite these exemptions, a large number of taxpayers come out ahead by opting for the standard deduction, which is much simpler and requires far less effort and time to compute. Number 1. Employees of the IRS have also broken the law. People tend to image wealthy celebrities hiding massive amounts of income when they think about tax cheating. Yet, in 2015, a report indicated that close to 1,600 IRS employees had willfully avoided paying taxes over the previous decade. And the majority of those employees were not terminated from their positions. Even though it only accounts for a small fraction of the agency's workforce, approximately 160 personnel every year. Out of 85,000, this doesn't exactly do wonders for the Internal Revenue Service's reputation. Check out this list of some of the strangest state tax laws now in effect if you are interested in learning more about taxes. There is a lot to learn about taxes, so if you are wanting to learn more about them, check out this list. You'll learn something new about taxes while having a good time reading this book. How was the video? Do you enjoy it? Tell us in our comments section below. And subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates.